good to do that again. Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of Chicago Bears Weekly. And the schedules of 2022 were just released for the Bears. And today's episode, we're going to go over each weekly matchup that could potentially happen, my thoughts, my prediction. We're going to look at the entire schedule as a whole. And then at the conclusion of it, I am going to give my official predictions of where the Bears are going to be at season's end. But before I get into that, make sure you guys leave this video a like, as that always helps the channel to grow. And if you are a first-time viewer and you are not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button and notification bell so you're not missing a single video. But without further ado, let's dive into it.
I'm striving to get rich. That's why I almost went 2 years without buying shoes and fits. Things change now. My mom hearing me with my music and she look a little prouder.
So the Bears open up week 1 at home against the San Francisco 49ers. And to be honest with you, the 49ers are still up in the smoke. They don't know what they're going to do with their quarterback position. Jimmy G at this point is still on the roster. You still have issues with Deebo Samuel's contract. You still have Trey Lance in the fold. So even though this 49ers team is coming off of an NFC Championship game appearance where they were close to actually being, again, Super Bowl appearances, that would have been 2 and 3 years, but they came up just short of a Super Bowl. And coming into this Bears matchup, and the Bears at this point, we're probably going to see what Luke Getsy's offense is going to look like, but it's going to be a very, very tough football game for the Bears in week 1, going up against a defensive line led by Nick Bosa, Fred Warner on the other side on defense. They just signed Travarius Ward as a corner, so they bolstered up some things to help this defense. You still have some things on offense. Of course, you have George Kittle, you have Brandon Ayuk. We're still waiting to see on Deebo Samuel, but this 49ers team is going to be a very tough competitor in the Bears' first game of the year. Then we turn around week 2. And the Bears are in primetime football against those damn Green Bay Packers. Even though they are devoid of Devontae Adams, Luke Getsy, we have his offensive coordinator, came over from the Green Bay Packers. And as much as it pains me to agree with anything Aaron Rodgers says, he's owned the Bears as of late. He's owned the Bears. Whether we like it or not as Bear fans, he's owned us. This is point blank period. He's owned us. Even though they don't have Devontae Adams, they lost Darius Smith in free agency this offseason. They lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling in free agency. I just cannot give the Bears a win against the Packers until I actually see it with my own 2 eyes. And it's on Sunday Night Football, and the Bears have a history of, let's just say, screwing it up in primetime football. So we can easily start the season off 0-2. The Bears come into week 3 against the Houston Texans. Our guy, Lovie Smith, I still have a lot of love for him. And the Texans are a extremely rebuilding football team. With Davis Mills probably going to be at the quarterback position, you have a lot of pieces on defense where they're rebuilding. You have a lot of pieces on offense, even though they re-signed Brandon Cooks, where you're still a rebuilding football team. But we all know Lovie Smith teams play hard. They take away the football on special teams. So it's nothing to sleep on with Houston. I know it's a bad football team in Houston. They still have a lot of growing to do. They just traded away Deshaun Watson this offseason to the Cleveland Browns. But this could be the point where the Bears could get their first win of 2022. And then we follow that with a trip to New York to take on those New York Giants, where they have new head coach Brian Daboll with Daniel Jones, which I think, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I really think that the addition Brian Daboll can help elevate Daniel Jones's game. Now, is he going to be a world beater? No. Is he going to be one of those elite quarterbacks? No. But I do think the improvement of Brian Daboll in this offense can help Daniel Jones with Galladay, with Sterling Shepard, with Kadarius Toney, who they've been rumored in trade rumors, which I hope they don't do, honestly, because I think he's immensely talented. You have Leonard Williams on defense. It's a competitive Giants team. And at this point in the year, we're going to see a little bit more of where Justin Fields is 3 games into the season, where this Bears team is, where this Bears team is 3 games in the season, because we have some evidence that, of course, the preseason isn't going to be spectacular. They're going to see everything. So you're going to have a little bit of a rhythm and a little bit of a pattern heading into week 4 against the New York Giants. And then we have our first game against the Minnesota Vikings. And honestly, coming into this year, I think a Minnesota Vikings series is going to be a split. I don't know which game they're going to win. I don't know which game is going to be that the Bears pull off. But I believe at this point, looking into this season now and looking where the Vikings are with Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Jefferson, and Thielen, you still have some interchangeable pieces on defense. But the loss of Mike Zimmer and this Vikings team, I think, is going to be a little bit of a change. But I just believe that they're going to split this. They are going to split this, and I believe the Vikings are going to take this first one in Minnesota. Even though we're still going to be more of a competitive in this matchup, I just believe the Vikings are going to be split. And then we have a Thursday night football contest against the Washington Commanders, even though it still feels weird to say that, with them having the new quarterback in Carson Wentz, and you still have Terry McLaurin from The Ohio State University. You have Chase Young coming back off of ACL injury from The Ohio State University. You have a defensive line, a defensive front that I believe, when healthy, is one of the more elite defensive fronts in the NFL. Ron Rivera is one of the better defensive minds in the NFL. And Antonio Gibson, I believe, is a very underrated running back with this Washington football team. So this is going to be another competitive game. Coming off of a short week on the road with Minnesota, now you're going to go home and play Washington on a very short week. I'm not saying this is going to be a loss, but this can be one of those games where the Bears may slip up and may lose. Washington, I think they're going to have a lot to prove. I think Ron Rivera's job is on the line this year. So you're going to have a Washington team that I think is going to come out, and you're going to see they're going to play well against these Bears. And next, we have Bill Belichick, Week 7 on Monday Night Football, a third primetime game back-to-back between the last week in Washington and this week with the New England Patriots. And the New England Patriots, they did lose J.C. Jackson, which I think was a hurt for this defense. They do still have young Mac Jones. You get to see Mac Jones versus Justin Fields like we saw in the national championship game back in early 2021, even though as an Ohio State fan, I don't want to talk about that. But you get to see Mac Jones versus Justin Fields for the first time in NFL uniforms. You get to see that 2021 NFL draft class quarterback matchup going head-to-head. And I do believe the Patriots are a better football team right now as we speak than the Chicago Bears. Could this be a game that the Bears come up and sneak up and win? I'm not sure. I don't believe so. But you do have a defense with the Patriots led by Matthew Judon. You have the McCourty brother. And you also have Mac Jones, who's coming into his second year in this system. Even though Josh McDaniels is no longer here, he's out the door. I just still believe the Patriots at this point right now are a better football team than the Bears. Let's just be 100% honest. And then we're going to come on to the next week, another road game against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, I've been wanting to say, if you don't know, their fans are delusional, but they are built to have a very successful season this year, led by Dak Prescott, who I think could be, I can see him having a bounce back year from a little bit late down the stretch last year where he necessarily didn't perform very great. And you have Ezekiel Elliott, who played through most of 2021 with an injury. Now, losing Randy Gregory on the defensive side of the ball hurts. They traded away Amari Cooper to the Cleveland Browns. You still have Michael Gallup, who's coming back from an ACL injury. You have CeeDee Lamb. You have an offensive line, when healthy, is one of the best in football. You have a defense that I still think is a bit away from being there. I still think they need some more pieces on their defensive side of the ball. Michael Parsons is coming into his own as a very good player in this league. So you're going to have another tough matchup against a Cowboys team that I believe is going to be very tough this season. And then you're going into the completely made over Miami Dolphins roster in Week 9 with Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill. You have Raheem Mostert on the roster with Jalen Waddle. You signed Teron Armstead to be your left tackle. You have Xavier Howard in your defensive backfield. So I just believe that this Dolphins team offensively is going to create a lot of problems for this Bears defense. It's going to create a lot of problems with their speed and their ability with McDonald as new head coach. I just believe that they are going to create a lot of problems for this Bears defense with their speed. Tua Tagovailoa has some speed of his own at the quarterback position where he can make things happen on the run as well as in the passing game. So this Miami Dolphins team is going to be very much improved. They finished last year. They started on a 7-game losing streak and had a 7-game winning streak, which is completely crazy. But I just believe that this Dolphins team is going to be tough. And also, just to think about it, the Bears have a bad history against the Miami Dolphins. Think about it. 1985, who was the only loss? Dolphins. 2018, great season. One of the losses? Dolphins. 2006, the Bears go to the Super Bowl. One of the losses? Dolphins. So they have a bad history against this Dolphins team. I don't want to see it repeat itself, but let's just call a spade a spade. And we have bad history against the Miami Dolphins. Let's just say that. And then the next week, we get our first matchup against the Detroit Lions, who I think are a very much improved football team with Aiden Hutchinson in the draft, Jamison Williams in the draft. They did sign DJ Chark, who's another very good wide receiver, with DeAndre Swift, who will start to emerge later on in 2021. You have Dan Campbell for all the eating kneecaps crap, but he has his team fighting. That team absolutely fights. And the Bears were in 2 very close football games with the Detroit Lions last year. And the Detroit Lions, I believe, even though Jared Goff is still their quarterback, and I still don't have that much faith in him, just like Kirk Cousins, I still believe that at this point, this is going to be a very tough game. Tougher than a lot of people expect. Even though the Lions are still in rebuilding mode, they still have a lot of pieces to go, but it's going to be a very tough matchup, a very sneaky tough matchup that if the Bears don't show up for, they can lose. And then the following week, you have another team that's in rebuilding mode with the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan, gone. Julio last year, gone. Calvin Ridley, suspended. Now you have, could it be Desmond Ridder at this point? Who knows? But they signed Marcus Mariota in free agency. You have Kyle Pitts. You have our former Bear Cordero Patterson. You have defensive side of the ball. You have Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett. But at this point, Atlanta's a rebuilding football team where Arthur Smith is the head coach. And was it a little bit of a surprise that they ended up trading Matt Ryan? Yes. But the Bears, this is another game that the Bears have to have if they want to have some type of success this season. I just believe this is a game that they have to get. It's in Atlanta. The fans are going to be rowdy. I know in 2020 the Bears ended up coming back, but this is, I think, a different Atlanta Falcons football team than what we've seen than 2 years ago. But at this point, this is a rebuilding Falcons team. Even though the Bears are a bit of a rebuilding team itself, this is another game that the Bears have to have. And then you're going up against the New York Jets, another rebuilding team, another team that the Bears can beat. Even though they did draft Garrett Wilson from the Ohio State University, they had Ahmad Gardner, Sauce Gardner, another good corner, something that they needed to shore up their defensive side of the ball. They had an excellent draft to get pieces around Zach Wilson to help improve this football team with Robert Saleh as head coach heading into his second season in New York. And the Jets are going to be, I'm not going to say significantly better, but you can see that they are going in the right direction as far as their own rebuild goes. You have the young quarterback, which you have another 2021 draft class matchup with Justin Fields versus a guy like Zach Wilson, which is going to be more intriguing to see how this matchup is going to go. But this is another game that the Bears have to have if they want to have some success against a rebuilding New York Jets team. And then you're going into week 13 against those damn Green Bay Packers who've had our number. Now, it's interesting to see where the Bears are going to be at this point in the season going up against the damn Packers. But it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's really all I can say. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's been owning this for God knows how long. I hate to give the man a compliment as a Bears fan myself, but I just got to call a spade. The man is great. And they did lose a lot, but Aaron Rodgers. But week 14, we have our bye week. And then that point, I'm going to do what the state of the Bears at the bye week at that point of the year. With, of course, my reactions and my previews. But at this point in the bye week, I'm going to do where the Bears are in the bye week. Hopefully, it's somewhat better than what we had in Manhattan. But that's another whole story for another day. But let's go into our next game. And then we have those Philadelphia Eagles. Shout out to my guy, Alcabir, the analyst, a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. And I forgot to shout out my guy, Jay in the Bay, who I will probably do a collab with as the 49ers in the first game of the year. I totally slipped up on that. But we have Philly. They are improved. A.J. Brown, big trade piece. Jalen Hurts, I think he can come into his own in his second full season as starting quarterback. You have Miles Sanders, who really started to get the ball rolling right when Nick Sirianni finally started to run the football. They were struggling last year because they refused to run. But I believe with the pairing of Jalen Hurts' athletic ability and the speed, Miles Sanders, and you add weapons along with Devontae Smith with A.J. Brown. And even though the defense, I think, is a little bit older with Brandon Graham, with a guy like Fletcher Cox, but they're both still productive. You have Darius Slay at your cornerback position. So this Eagles team is going to be another competitive football team for the Bears to face. And it's interesting to see how the Bears are going to fare at this point in the season. I don't think they're going to be in some type of playoff contention, to be 100% honest. But I think at this point, the Bears can play spoiler for Philly if it comes down to it. I think the Bears will be a spoiler. And the next game is Week 16 against the Buffalo Bills. I would just come out and say it now. The Bills are my pick to win the Super Bowl. I will be 100% honest. The Bills are my pick to win the Super Bowl. Josh Allen, I think he's my early season favorite to win league MVP. I'll just say that now. I think the Bills are my pick to win the Super Bowl, and I think Josh Allen is my early season favorite to win MVP. I picked him last year to win MVP. He had a little bit of a down stretch, but this Bills team, even though Brian Daboll is gone, is going to be a very, very, very tough team for this Bears roster to face. And I want to be 100% honest, with the addition of Von Miller to that defense, Tre'Davious White coming back healthy. You have Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, of course. I think you're going to see more of an improved running game out of Devin Singletary with a very solid offensive line. This is going to be a tough matchup. And I would just be honest, I don't see any scenario where the Bears win this game. I just don't. I would just be 100% honest with you guys. I just don't. In Week 17, we have the Detroit Lions again, this time on the road. And like I said earlier, this is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a tough matchup. The Lions are still in a rebuilding mode, but I think they're much improved from what they are last season, even though Jared Goff is still at the quarterback position. It's just, I believe that they are going to be a slightly better football team than last year. Then we close off the season against Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and those Minnesota Vikings. For the second straight year in Minnesota, the Bears are going to close the season out there. And at this point, we're going to know where the Bears football team stands. And let's just go right into it. My 2022 Chicago Bears predictions. This is a 7-win football team at max. This is a 7-win football team. What I predict, what I see happening, you're going to see growth from Justin Fields with guys like Pringle St. Brown, Darnell Mooney, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. You're going to see improvement. You're going to see very much needed improvement out of Justin Fields, who changed his mechanics this offseason. Now, this defense is going to, I think they're going to struggle a little bit earlier from the 3-4 to the 4-3 transition. And I think offensively it's going to take this team a while to get the rhythm going, which is why I don't see them starting off the gates fast. I see them losing definitely the first two games against the 49ers and against those damn Green Bay Packers. But I just believe at this point, the Bears are a 7-win football team. I'm just going to be 1,000% honest. It's a 7-win football team. I don't see any scenario where the Bears win more than 7 games. But I will say that we will see improvement from Justin Fields and his entire roster. And that's when you will see the Bears try to improve this roster tremendously in the 2023 offseason. There's going to be no playoffs this year. They're not going to be in really contention for that division because I still believe they are the third best team in the NFC North. But my prediction is you're going to see improvement. The franchise, Ryan Poles and them, you're going to see them have belief, and you're going to see something out of Fields, which is going to lead them to build more in 2023 towards winning versus 2022, where they're going to, I think this is a season where you're going to see where Justin Fields is at. This season, I believe, is the Justin Fields year. It is the Justin Fields year. This is the year where they're going to see what they have out of him. And if you see improvement and you see growth, then 2023, that's when you will see the Bears try to reel in the big fish in free agency and trades. But that's my schedule review for 2022. Those are my predictions. Leave you guys' prediction in the comment section down below because I would love to see what you guys think of the Chicago Bears team heading into training camp and heading into this 2022 NFL season. And as always, leave this video a like, as that always helps this channel to grow. And subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you will not miss a single video. And comment your votes, comment your records for the Bears in 2022 down below. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great next day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.